welcome everybody to the Magic Beans podcast. We are back again for episode number 114. I'm your host tonight, and my name is Shorty, and I have a couple of beans on the line with me. So tonight we have Chewy. How's it going, mate?
I'm really good, mate. How are you?
Pretty good. And we've also got Cracker. How's it going, Cracker?
Very well, thanks, buddy.
Good to hear. Look at that smooth intro, no mistakes, just like rolls off the tongue. It's almost
like we've done this 113 other times.
Very good. All right, so yeah, a few things to talk about tonight, as we always do. There may even be a little discussion of actual paper Magic being played, which is pretty cool. I just realised I typed in the show notes pre-lease, which is not the term.
That's why we do an audio format for the most part instead of written.
Very good. All right, but before we get into any of that, Cracker, do you want to tell us about our awesome sponsors?
Oh, I'd love to. So our sponsors are Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. They are a Facebook auction page, and they have lots of different singles of physical Magic cards that you can buy every night of the week with really great prices. They support us and this podcast and the Magic Beans tournament series with all the prizes that we can provide there, which is unreal, and we love them for that. So go check them out, and when you win an auction, tell them the Bean sent you.
Very good. Chewy's just editing the show notes. I think you just made it worse, Chewy.
Yeah, I deliberately made it worse. We need to have a Patreon so people can see our terrible show notes.
Yeah,
they can pay for the privilege.
People are going to ask for their money back real fast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've always wondered that with Patreons, of people are like, oh, you get, access to the show notes and you get uncut episodes and things like that. And it's like, why would you actually want that stuff? Why would you want uncut episodes with all the
you wouldn't want
stuff
uncut episodes of our podcast, because it's just like knuckle cracking, coughing, other bodily functions all caught on. Like, who wants to hear that, man?
Yeah. I mean, I think we've spoken about it before, that when we record, we do it in one take. We very, very rarely stop. The only time we pause is when something's gone wrong. Someone's internet's died or something like that. But
some
otherwise
kid
we just
starts screaming in the background. Yeah.
Even then, the person usually just mutes. But we just do it in one go. So an uncut episode is, it's really not that different to what you're getting. But
it just has more ums in it. Yeah,
way more ums from Chewy, and a bit of keyboard typing and lots more mouse clicks and things like that. But it's pretty much the same. It's just this is the beans and how we do it, which I think's pretty cool.
We're awesome.
And that's the end of the episode. Cool, we're done.
You talked about paper Magic. We played some paper Magic this week.
Look at this, getting me back on track. That's a bit of a change.
It's 2 weeks in a row, just quietly.
Yeah.
So, the pre-lease.
Yeah, the pre-release. Yeah, so this week, obviously, the weekend just gone was the pre-release for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. And being that we're all busy and have families, and it was Cracker's wife's birthday on the weekend, happy birthday, Amelia, we were unable to actually go out on the weekend and play pre-release, but Games Portal, our store that we tend to go to, we're running some, I think there was actually one Tuesday night and Wednesday night, and a few of you beans got to go there. I did not, sadly. But, who was there, Cracker? I know you were definitely there. I saw a photo of you on Twitter.
Yes.
Who else was there?
Chris was there with us, and Chewy was there as well.
Okay, very nice. And how many people ended up for the Tuesday night pre-release?
What do you reckon? 10? Maybe 12?
I think there was 12. For a Tuesday night pre-release, not bad. So
yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so we've just played the 3 rounds. Traditionally, you'd play the 4 at your pre-release, but on a Tuesday evening, starting at 7 with deck building and such, I was pretty happy to only have 3.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was cool. It was cool to play some Magic, in a store across the table from a human being. And
even if that human being is Cracker.
At least it was the finals, all right? At least it wasn't round one like you two always get paired up in.
Yeah.
At least I got some wins first.
So I was the first person to take a game off Cracker for the whole event, actually.
Okay. We haven't spoken since you guys played, so I have no idea. I knew that you guys played in the finals, and I knew that Chewy won, but yeah, how did you get, like, what, well, I guess we'll start off with you, Cracker. How was your pool? What did you have in there, and what did you end up building?
My pool was okay. I got a couple of really good white rares and a mythic or two, which is pretty good. So I got Ao the Dawn Sky, which is the mythic white dragon, which did absolutely nothing for me in any of my games ever.
Did you get to cast exiled. It at least?
Yeah, I cast it and then Chewy exiled it immediately.
Yeah, nice.
But no, my deck was, I mean, it's funny. You just, look, when you play sealed, you play the colours that you get. And I was mostly green, white and splashing black. So I had, just like some sort of enchantment synergies there. I had a couple of ninjas that are Biting Palm Ninja. And the card that probably did the most work for me was the Reckoner Bankbuster. The 4/4, the 2-mana 4/4 vehicle where you can pay to tap it and draw a card, and then
that's the one we spoke about. It was sort of similar to Maze Mind Tome sort of thing.
Yeah, except it attacks for
value.
4.
Yeah, nice.
Which it turns out is really good. So it was sealed, and it did its sealed thing where unless you were hyper aggressive, the games just drew out for a long time. So they were grindy, but a lot of fun. I ended up in a couple of. I played against Gareth actually in round 2, who's in our Discord.
Nice.
He's a guy we've known for a long time. He's also a judge. But yeah, we ended up in a couple of just both games, just massive board stalls. And eventually it was math is for blockers, attack you for everything. And he's like, I think that puts me to 2. I was like, pump spell for 6. Yes. So, a couple of really tight games. And then, Chewy and I faced off in the finals. And much the same sort of thing. We had a couple of... The first game was really close, but Chewy had a bunch of shrines that meant maths was for not attacking ever. And then game 2, I kind of just beat down pretty early. I managed to steal his Mana Fixer with my Biting Palm Ninja, which made him stumble enough for me to be able to just keep pressing the advantage. And then game 3 was epic. Went for forever. It was really good, though. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
I played a few of the sagas as well, the flip sagas, both the green ones and the white ones. So I had the one that turns into the dragon egg thing, where you get to put creature cards underneath it, but never died. Never got to cast any of my stuff for free. It just kind of sat there the whole time, which is unfortunate. The thing I found my pool was lacking was removal. I had 2 removal spells in the whole thing. One of them was March of the Otherworldly Light, which is the 1 white and then X, where you can exile cards from your hand to add white cards from your hand to add 2 colorless to it, which was really good. Actually, it got me out of a bunch of spots, which was nice to kind of have that unconditional exile removal. But some earlier interaction would have been handy to have. But overall, man, it was a lot of fun. Good, like
good.
Chewy said, just good to play actual paper Magic again and. trying to build a sealed pool when you haven't done that in a long time is just how does this work?
How do I put cards in sleeves again?
No. Unfortunately, I had most of my basics pre-sleeved from however long ago, so saved some time there. But that was good times.
Nice. And how did you go, Chewy? You have a bit of a better pool than Cracker, or are you just a better Magic player?
No, my pool was much, much worse than Cracker's. It was... I wrote an article on magicbeanscast.com that kind of summarizes my experience, so I won't go into too much detail apart from saying, if you want the detail, go and check out the article, magicbeanscast.com. I had one of those pools where all of the colours were really evenly represented.
The worst.
And a lot of the good cards had double, triple, or 4 mana pips. So... the deck didn't give me any obvious signposts, so I just decided to go for the most powerful thing that I could at the cost of some consistency. So I ended up with 4 colours. So it was green white based with a bit of blue, but green blue based with a bit of white and 1 red card, which was the red shrine, the Goshen Tai of Ancient Wars. So I just went max synergy, trying to leverage that. So I had some good 2-drops in I had a Lion Sash and the Green Shrine and the Spirited Companion. I did get to live the dream of returning the Spirited Companion with Prosperous Thief, Ninjutsu to get a treasure, using that treasure to recast Spirited Companion. So, nice. Lots and lots of cards and, free mana. That was pretty fun. But similar to Cracker, I just had a lot of shrines for value and, not a lot of removal, honestly. I had one copy of Repel the Vile and then just some creatures with reach and a couple of bounce spells in the one of the ninjas and the Inventive Iteration Saga. So really, really removal light, but just went for, the long game value. And MVP was Shigeki Jukai Visionary, who let me just work through this attrition game with my shrines and profitable trading and, good blocks and things like that. And then buying a bunch of those cards back with the channel ability of Shigeki and just, riding that wave of card advantage. Basically, a big card draw spell in my opponent's end step to draw 4 cards, but specific cards from my graveyard. And, that won me the majority of my game. So, Cracker mentioned that his dragon didn't do anything for him. In the 2 games that he drew it, I had the Repel the Vile in my hand, ready to go. So I got pretty lucky there. So I didn't have to really deal with the big dragon. I was able to just exile it.
Better lucky than good.
Exactly. So I got there.
He saved his removal for the correct card is what he did. Because obviously Chewy helped me build the pool and, we sort of seen what each other was doing. So he knew it was in there. He was waiting for it. And, he was chipping me down with flyers. And I was like, all right, I don't really need to do anything until the dragon appears. And then I was like, yes, dragon. And cast it. And
got the removal. Yep.
The first game that I won, I don't think I attacked after turn 4 and the game went to turn 20 something. I just had I had 2 shrines going, one of which was a red one. So it was just complete board stall. I'd cast Invoke the Ancients and put, I think Vigilance counters on. I just had like a couple of reach creatures, a 1/4 flyer. So everything was completely gummed up and it's just like, shock you, go. So it was, pretty grindy. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
But it was fun. Super fun.
Yeah, good.
One of the cards that impressed me the most in my deck was Born to Drive, which is an enchantment, but you can also cycle it or channel it, for 2 and a white, and it makes 2 of the pilots that crew as 3 power instead of 1 power. So it was really handy to just be able to hold up, some interaction or, threaten something and then be able to, cycle or channel. I keep saying cycle. So I used to playing cycle. Channel these things out and then be able to, crew your otherwise creatureless board with, a couple of 4/4s. I had a 4/3 as well. So you could kind of get a bit of surprise value out of that, which was really good.
Yeah, there's a lot of, there's not a lot of removal, but there's some good tricks and combat tricks and pumps and things like that in the format that play the role of removal. The boar, the big giant artifact boar, is a fantastic pump spell, and I almost died to that in one of the games in round 2. So that's a really strong card for limited, and certainly a trick we should all learn to play around as well. So
yeah, nice. So yeah, we thought tonight, with the set just being released, pre-releases happening, all that sort of thing. We'll get into it a little bit later on a bit more of a discussion on the economy of sort of drafting and how to build your collection, that sort of stuff early on in a format. But before we get into that, we thought we'd go through what we've been doing in the limited format and what the archetypes are and that sort of thing. So I know, Chewy, you've been playing quite a lot of sealed. I've not played a single sealed pool, and obviously you guys just played your pre-releases, so there's another sealed pool there. And I've done a draft. I know Stu's done quite a few drafts. There's been plenty of people posting in the limited channel. So do you want to sort of take us through sealed first, and then might sort of jump into some of the draft archetypes and things like that? Yeah, absolutely. So I think Cracker, when he started talking about sort of his experiences, he hit the nail squarely on the head there when he talked about, your overall strategy. And most archetypes can be put into one of these 2 buckets. There's either your
hyper aggressive decks that are trying to get under the grindy decks, or there's the long game grindy decks that are going to win the game eventually with, grinding an opponent out. And I say eventually, there are cards that win the game, but it's not all just, everybody has 9 2-drops in their deck, like OG Ravnica Standard or anything like that. So there's a lot of play to the format. The sagas that turn into creatures and things like that give you a lot of value. And I think, I would describe this as a value format. So even your equipment that you put on your modified deck trying to get under things, if you don't have a creature, your equipment's a creature, you can still pressure your opponent. So there's a lot of value. And then the sagas in the slower decks turning into creatures, then you ninja them back and play them again, and you're just getting a lot of value out of your cards. Individual card value goes through the roof when you get to, get multiple triggers and multiple uses out of them. So the red-white warriors / samurai deck I found pretty underwhelming. I haven't had a good pull from a sealed perspective, at least, to look at that. I think that might be a draft archetype that we might look at. I've had a lot of people trying to ninja me, trying to lean really hard in on ninjas. I haven't had a lot of success trying to do that. I've just played some good ninja cards and played them as the opportunities presented themselves. Some ninjas I've not actually used their ninja ability on them, and it's a bit of bonus text should it come up. The two that really come to mind there there's the white one with double strike. So it's often just play it as a 3-mana 2/2 with double strike rather than trying to get fancy with ninjutsu. And the other one is the 4-mana bounce a creature one. So it can be a useful combat trick to save one of your creatures and bounce it back, but often you just want to play it as a 4-mana 2/2 Man of War and clear a blocker and start bashing people anyway. So that's definitely two archetypes that I try to steer away from. The red-green modified archetype is really, really strong. That was one of my 7 wins in Sealed, and they've got some great rares that pull you into that archetype. But as you play a few games, you discover that the engine room of your Sealed deck is your commons, obviously. And there's I can't remember the name of it. It's a 3-mana 2/3, but if you have another modified creature, it comes in with a +1 counter on it. So a 3-mana 3/4 on curve is pretty good. So you're looking for cheap modified creatures to turn things on and to lean into that synergy. The Turtle Ninja is a good one with that. And there's the cheap equipment. The 1-drop, 1-do equipments really do help with that. And then if you're looking for the longer, grindier games, leaning into shrines, if you're lucky enough to open a bunch of those, play as many as you can get and play the mana fixes that are available, which is the, Ecologist Terrarium, the 2-mana artifact, the Greater Kanuki, which is the channel Rampant Growth, for 3, which it's a 6-mana 6/5 with trample, but it's also got the mana fixing in that. And then Network Terminal is a 3-mana mana rock that taps for any color, but you can also loot if you tap an artifact in the late game, which is not dead in the late game as well. So you want to lean into the shrines, play as many colors as you can, or you just want to play as many colors as you can and play as many sagas as you can and just get a lot of value out of the saga abilities, and they form, a lot of your creature base 3 turns later. So that's been definitely my experience from Seal. Red,
Sounds
green,
very grindy.
Very grindy, or you just try to get them dead as before they get all of the value out of that. So I think drafting will be faster, and some of the grindier archetypes may
Which is
not.
Generally the case between sealed and drafting.
Yeah, exactly.
Drafting's always a little bit quicker, just because you're actually picking the cards for your deck. You're not just hoping for the luck of the draw with what you crack in the packs.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely expecting that. Like, sealed's always slower than draft, but yeah, don't necessarily just go for the big slow bombs in in Sealed, go for the value plays, and you just want to get as much value out of things. Like, look for things that, equal an extra card or an extra half a card and things. So I said in one of the preview shows how excited I was about Spirited Companion in Sealed, and, my experiences are that card is very, very good. If you've got, enchantment payoffs as well, obviously very, very good as well. But or ninjaing, which is also pretty sweet. It's a cheap creature that you play on turn 2, and then you can ninja on a later turn, is really, really good. And the threat of ninjas also, and this will be true for draft and Sealed, the threat of limited make your pump spells better in this format than they might be in other formats. Pump spells are always good. You play 1, maybe 2 pump spells in your deck, particularly if you're trying to be aggressive. But people will go, I don't want them to, Prosperous Thief me or Network Hacker me and get a card. I'll put a creature in front of this, and then, you get to
blow them out with a combat trick.
Exactly. Yeah. So more valuable than also, normally.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're really incentivized to block in this format, which is a departure from what it's been recently, because there are ninjas in so many colors. They're in 3, 4 colors, right? And so there are some really huge blowouts as well. Like, there's obviously, ignoring the rares, there's the uncommon where when it does combat damage, you can discard a card and destroy target creature an opponent controls. So you ninjutsu something back to your hand that's really cheap, and then you throw it away and blow up your opponent's biggest threat. So there's definitely a lot to be gained from thinking through your blocks and, doing everything on your second main as much as possible. You can kind of bait people into some awkward situations. So it definitely is, it feels more difficult, particularly in the dark. Obviously once you've seen, game 2 or 3, once you've seen your opponent's deck a little bit, you've got some ideas, but game 1, there's a lot of, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I might just have to chump block because the threat of activation is just so much worse. And that's just kind of a free roll for your attack then, right? You can kind of bluff 2/2s into 3/3s more effectively, it feels like. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, going, do I get blown out by a ninja or do I get blown out by a pump spell? It makes your opponent
you kind of just have to pick your poison.
Yeah, exactly right.
Which, as the blockers, doesn't feel good.
No, I found even in the one draft that I did, people were doing weird blocks, and I didn't twig as to why until later. And often they would block my smaller creature and just take, an extra point or 2 of damage, because the bigger creature was one I wouldn't want to bounce back to my hand for ninjutsu, whereas the smaller creature was one that I would. So they go, well, if I block the bigger creature, which is probably the one I would normally do, well, then you've got this free unblocked creature that you're happy to return back to your hand. So instead, I'm going to block the small one, take a little bit of extra damage, and then you don't, you can ninjutsu your creature in if you want, but you're bouncing your 4-drop back to your hand instead of your 1-drop or 2-drop. So yeah, it makes it really, really weird to work out what you should block, what you shouldn't block, what you need to let through. And yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people bluffing attacks and just, sending all when they don't have anything, and just sort of leaving it up to their opponent to try and figure out what could they possibly have, and
love
that
it.
sort of thing. Yeah,
it's really good, because for so long it's felt like just blocking has not been a good choice. It's felt like there are so few combat tricks that were particularly good in the last few sets. And, for the most part, it was just like, well, I'd rather just swing back and kind of race, but. Yeah,
just keep bashing each other in the face.
Kind of, yeah.
Someone's done more damage.
That's not completely true, but it certainly hasn't felt like you've been incentivized for a lot. And, there feels like there's quite a few higher toughness creatures kicking around as well, which is interesting.
Yeah. So, Chewy, how have you been going in your Sealed? What are your records like?
I think I've had a couple of train wrecks. I've had a couple of 1/3s, but I've had 2 7/2s, a 6/3, a couple of 5/3s. But yeah, then some right down at the other end of that spectrum as well. So overall, pretty positive win rates, and been able to, rack up some W's along the way, which has been pretty good. So I've been pretty happy with this. I've been really enjoying the format, which also helps. But winning probably adds to that enjoyment. But I've also had some absolute stinkers as well. Don't get me wrong; it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's sometimes you open a seal pool and you go, "Oh, this deck looks really good. I'm going to do well here," and can't get a win. Or sometimes you just open a complete, compost heap and just try to eke out as many wins as you can and get it over with as quickly as possible. But overall, really positive experience, positive win rate as well. So been happy.
Have you found, like, this is probably relevant to draft as well, but have you found that this is a format where there are just those bomb rares that ruin your day or ruin the game?
There's some really powerful things, like Jin Gataxius is a very, very powerful thing, but it does cost 7. And, the dragons are fine, like they're powerful, but not completely, they don't put your opponent into an unlosable position or you into an unlosable position if you're lucky enough to have one.
Yeah.
It's more about synergy, this set, rather than just individual card value. And there's a lot of, and eking out that value, those half a card here and that mana advantage there, and you've got a lot of agency, you've got a lot of play to the format, and that's why I really, really liked it. Yeah,
nice, because that's a common complaint you hear. It's like, I had this good draft deck, and then I came up against this person, and they had this rare, so I lost that match. And then I came up against this person, and they had this rare, and so I lost that match. And it's like, that just doesn't sound much fun.
Yeah, and I think that's always an element of Sealed in particular. That does happen, but it's not what this format's about. The last format where, there was that 6/6 demon, and then you had to sacrifice a creature to make another 6/6 demon. If you landed that, you just won. Right? That it doesn't have elements like that, which is good, refreshing.
Sounds good. I think I need to give some Sealed a go, because I haven't done that in quite a while.
I recommend it for more than just... I have a
pre-release pack coming for this set, so I might just build a seal pool just for the sake of it. But
share some pics into the limited channel on the Discord.
Yeah, sounds good.
Not in the Discord, get in there.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so we'll shift over to draft. So we thought, as most sets have, there's usually like the 10 colour pairs, and they all tend to have an archetype or something that's sort of what that colour pair is meant to be sort of pushing you into. And sometimes it's really obvious. Often, I think, like the last core set we had, you had your uncommon creatures or uncommon colour pair card per colour pair, and that sort of directed you for what you need to be doing in those colour pairs. And it's not always the case in every set. But we do have sort of a bit of a rundown on roughly what these colour pairs are. So, Cracker, do you want to give us a run through those?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's, as Chewy was saying before, there's blue-black ninjas, there's red-green modify, there's blue-green mid-range, there's black-green mid-range as well. They're kind of interchangeable. They're very value-based, as you would expect for kind of those.
It's like playing for rock,
decks,
right?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
So then you've got red-white samurais and just kind of your typical Boros aggressive deck. There's blue-red artifacts. There's green-white enchantments. There's black-white, which is both artifact enchantments. There's black-red artifact sacrifice. I did see the uncommon black-red artifact sacrifice card do some real work. Like, it's just kind of, sacrifice and ping stuff there. And then there's blue-white vehicles, which in draft I think is particularly strong. From what I've seen people playing with it, looks really good. You've got a lot of really just strong, uncommon and common vehicles, which are all really good, and just lots of good ways to crew them. And if you can get, like one of the rare vehicles there, like, excellent. Like, just really, really good. The blue one in particular, where you can like turn a creature that you're crewing your vehicle, I forget the name of it, into a 4/3 with the abilities. Basically. Yep. But, if you've got that with your double striking 2/2s or your first striking, there's a bunch of first strike stuff in white as well. First striking 4/3s that fly are pretty disgusting to try and face down. So, yeah. Open rares.
The signpost uncommons, that which you're referring to, the blue-white vehicle one, that when a vehicle attacks, you create a 1/1 that can crew 2 power higher, is really, really strong. It attacks as a 3/4, so it you can get in some good attacks with that, because, got a nice big caboose, and it, you just get so much value where, if you're in a racing situation, you just create this army of chump blockers while still being able to press the advantage, of attacks. So it's quite good. Quite good. And then just like the Humble Brute Suit is a good card.
Yeah, it's just really strong. Just the fact that the crew cost is so cheap, it's 1 and it just attacks for, 4 is
I had one of those in my draft pool, and it's like, you look at that archetype list, and blue white vehicles is an archetype, but there are quite a few good generic coloured vehicles that can go into almost any of those archetypes.
But the support cards as well, good. Like the Fox, that there's a 2/2 Fox pilot that whenever a vehicle attacks, you can untap the Fox, but you can untap him, or a vehicle can get first strike, and that's giving a vehicle first strike. Particularly if it's like a 3 power or a 4 power vehicle, is as Cracker just said, pretty powerful. So it's a cool sort of take on vehicles, which we've seen a lot, over the last few years. But this feels fresh. The coloured vehicles, I think you spoke about that in a recent cast, Shorty, where adding specific colour requirements to casting vehicles lets them do some different things and potentially some more powerful things as well, because it creates that limitation on it. So I think it's great. It's very, very good.
Yeah. So I look at that list of archetypes, and they're basically all mid-range. Like ninjas is not killing people quickly. Even like the samurais and warriors, you sort of said, Cracker, the red-white, it's typical Boros beatdown, but it's actually very different to what you normally want to be doing in those red-white decks.
It's not going wide, it's going
normally you're trying to go wide, you're flooding the board with small dudes and just getting in there with that quick pressure. But the way the samurais and the warriors are set up, it's around attacking alone, almost like the exalted decks that we've had in the past. A bit different, and you're sharing abilities and things like that when they attack alone. But very different, and it's kind of it's one of those awkward things where it's like, all right, sweet, I've got 4 dudes on the battlefield, but I'm better off attacking with just one of them, and then that means they only need 1 removal spell to kill that creature. And then it's like,
I don't know that it's good in this set, from what I've seen. Like, everything has, just there are just no bad cards in modern, current Magic sets. Like, you don't just have absolute garbage. There's just good cards from like 1-drop all the way through the curve now. And it just feels like, certainly in all the games I played, like attacking with a single creature was just like a thing you did on turn 3, and then that was it from then on out. There was just like the boards just got full really fast. So I struggle to see how you can do that unless you get like the absolute nutter butters and like a bunch of removal and interaction to just kind of clear the way and make things really awkward. But which you're generally not going to be getting in your red and white decks. Like, no, you'll get a little bit of removal. White will tend to have some sort of exiling based removal. Your red's going to have some sort of burn spells, but you're also trying to typically in draft, those removal spells are not cheap. It's not the frost bites and things like that, the 1 mana removal spell where you can clear out some blockers. So you're playing the 3 and 4 mana burn spell because that's all you can get in your draft. And when you're trying to put out a bunch of creatures so that you can attack with 1 to get all the benefits, you then you kind of don't have the mana spare to be using that to remove creatures. So not too sure how that archetype goes.
It feels like it's like, just without knowing the depths of the draft format, it feels like that's going to be the weakest.
Happy to be proven wrong. It misses that key point you were talking about, where you're just forever looking for that card, an extra card, right? Like, these Boros decks tend to just lack that kind of ability to punch through, like to just gain that card advantage that they need. And you can really see that this is the wordiest set. Like, every card does so much, and if you're not maximizing that, then like, how are you going to win? I don't know.
Yeah, like all the other archetypes there are all generating value in some form or another.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, the red-white one just doesn't seem to be. So just tons of synergies in the other archetypes that are all generating value for you, whether that's in the form of actual card advantage or just slowly pinging down your opponent with your red shrines and things like that. It was drawing so extra cards.
Couldn't even exile it because my thing only did 4 powers and greater. It's a 2/2.
Yeah, nice.
What am I going to do?
Yep.
Well, he had the dragon thing flipped. I didn't want to attack and give him free cards, so I just sat back and pinged him.
They were lands.
Oh, that's great.
It's not. Anyway.
So yeah, I did a draft on, I think, the first night it came out. I haven't done a draft on Arena for a long time. I think it would be like, actually I did, we got like a couple of free drafts a little while ago, and I did those and got some gems out of it. I can't remember what set that was, but I haven't done the usual draft a bunch or play sealed a bunch when a new set comes out for ages. And I think I had Stu over, and Stu was talking about, I'm going to draft this set and whatever. And that night it was like, okay, I better jump on and do a draft. So my pack one pick one was Satoru Umezawa, and it was like, all right, well, it looks like I'm drafting ninjas, and I just forced blue-black ninjas, and I really shouldn't have, because clearly other people were also drafting blue and black cards and ninjas, and I thought I'd drafted an absolute pile, and somehow ended up with 7 wins, which I think, again, is the better lucky than good thing.
Skills, just skills.
But yeah, like I had just, a couple of vehicles that were crew 1 vehicles, and it just meant, you get them on the board early and they just sit there, and then any creature you play at any point is just play this creature and straight away I'm attacking with my vehicle that I've got here, which is, quite good to actually have those decent vehicles. I did find it awkward with your ninjutsuing. Like when you're ninjutsuing and you're not getting tons of value. Sometimes it's like, I get to draw a card, but you're also, you're not going up on permanence in the battlefield. And I was listening to someone on a podcast today. They were saying about like playing rogues in standard, like the ninja rogues version in standard, and they were saying you compare that to the previous rogues deck that we've had, where all your creatures have flash, where you're playing them whenever you want at the end of your opponent's turn, but you're also adding creatures to the battlefield. But the rogues, you're not. You're really limited on when you're playing them. It has to be during your combat step, and that cuts you off from doing things at the end of your opponent's turn and things like that. And you're not going up on things on the battlefield. And obviously, my deck wasn't broken or anything like that, so I wasn't getting tons of value from returning the same creature back to my hand and then ninjutsuing it again and things like that. But yeah, it just kind of felt like I was not getting anywhere. And then also with the couple of vehicles that I had, I also didn't want to be bouncing them back to my hand either. So yeah, it was, I think I just got a little bit lucky. I had like 3 or 4 removal spells, which was nice. Biting Palm Ninja, which was quite good. But other than that, it was, the other card that actually really stood out for me, which I've always found success drafting these style of decks and this type of card. There's Tamio's Completion, which is the 3 and a blue enchantment with flash.
The blue Faith's Fetish, Shorty. That's what that is. Taps down a creature and it doesn't untap. And that style I've always found, you put 3 or 4 of those in your draft deck and it just locks down your opponent's threats all the time.
That is just removal, though.
Yeah, it's effectively removal.
It is 100% removal, yeah.
Yeah. In most cases, there are times where it's a bad thing or it just doesn't work.
It removes that particular card. Tamio's Completion removes all abilities as well.
Yeah, which is also another good part to it. So, yeah, I found ninjas, like obviously ninjas is sort of the big archetype of the set. People are going to try and force it, that sort of thing. And it probably is, if you can actually draft a deck properly, it probably is the strongest deck. It just, that sort of combination of blue card advantage, black removal tends to be quite good.
So I've played some ninjas in standard, trying to make the deck work. Still trying, poorly. And faced against it and tried to do the ninja thing a lot. And just because you can ninja something doesn't always mean you should. And I think a real skill of the ninja archetype is knowing when to use that ability and when to just cast your creature. So it's it could be a classic situation of, you could have the deck, Shorty, and I could have the deck, and we could play the same matchups, and we could have very different outcomes because of those choices that we make. And I love that. I think that's
absolutely
excellent. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it makes for interesting games. Like there was heaps of turns in the matches that I was playing where I'm roping because it's like, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I attack with this creature? What am I going to do? What's my plan? How much mana am I going to have? And like, you really had to plan out your turns and then plan out, okay, well, if I bounce that creature back to my hand, what am I doing next turn? Like, am I going to be able to attack with something, or what am I going to do? And yeah, those decision trees were making my brain hurt. But that's what you sort of want in Magic, because that's what makes Magic interesting and exciting. So yeah, it looks like a cool draft format. Have you done any drafts, Chewy, or you've just done sealed?
Just done sealed at this point. This, as is my sort of habit, but part of my normal new set churn, where I focus on sealed pools, and then I'll get into drafting over the next couple of weeks. Yep.
Yeah, I would be keen to try and draft the blue-white vehicles deck. I think that'll be quite a bit of fun. And a few other cool archetypes there. So yeah, maybe we'll get into that a little bit more. But yeah, I've done one draft and I've got 7 wins, so I'm a draft master.
Well done.
We won't mention the fact that I was playing in bronze record. 3 and 4. That doesn't. we can just edit that out of the podcast. Yeah, that's fine. But I was not undefeated. I did lose two rounds. So. Anyway. Yeah, so we thought, as Chewy said, jump into our Discord, post in the limited channel. Start of a new set, it's always going off in there. We like to see what people are drafting. People are posting in there, getting advice. I saw Stu was posting in there earlier. He's done a sealed or a draft, and he's trying to work out what cards to cut. So yeah, there's always plenty of people in there that can give you a hand and point you in the right direction to help you with your draft and earn yourself some more gems or whatever you're trying to do. So we thought we would have a quick touch on, that sort of economy of drafting early on in a format and how to sort of make the most of what your currencies on Arena. Chewy, you were saying before the cast that you haven't put money into Arena for like 2 years or something like that. So do you want to give everyone a rundown on what you do, like each set as it releases, and how you're sort of managing to effectively go free to play?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I want to preface this with, like, I'm not trying to brag that I'm, winning all the time. I've certainly had my share of 0 wins or 1 win. But my normal churn is, I'll have a constructed deck. I'll start with the constructed portion of the set cycle. And I play Arena for, however many hours per week. Some days I don't play at all. Other days I'll play for half an hour. Other days I'll, stay up late and just grind a bunch of games. Depends, where I'm at, with time and inclination. But, try to get through as many of my daily quests as possible. And I'll change decks and even formats. I'll jump into Historic, or even Alchemy. Feels bad just saying that. If there's a particular quest that I want to tick off. And I just accrue that gold. And then I will use that gold to enter drafts throughout the season. And I will use gold to enter, and you get gem rewards. You also get packs, which helps you build your collection, etc. as well. So grind the gold for free just by playing the game. Use that to enter limited events, play the limited events, earn gems, and then I just bank those gems. And then at the release of a new set, the sealed events are gems to enter, and they pay out gems. So I enter those, and you get your 6 packs. Importantly, you get 6 15 card packs rather than the 8 card packs, whatever they are, when you just get regular packs. So you're getting more commons and uncommons. So it's a really good way to build out your collection. particularly of those commons and uncommons. And then you get gems for winning as well, and packs of the new set for winning. So if you can get, a positive record, an overall winning record, it's a really, really efficient way, as efficient as in, not costing, not hitting your hip pocket. It's a really efficient way to get the new cards, and to build that collection. And, what that does is give you the cards that you need to then build your constructed decks, to then start the gold grind again. And then, you basically then just rinse and repeat, accrue that gold, play those limited games, turn those gold into gems, save up those gems for the next set that comes out, and join in for the sealed. So, as you said, I haven't put money in. The last time I bought gems on Arena was with the release of Theros Beyond Death, which was 2 years ago. It was in the January 2020. So I had to have, a decent win rate in Limited, and Limited something that I enjoy. It's one of my favorite ways to play the game, and I do okay. I've never made Mythic in Limited or anything, crazy like that, but I generally have a plus 50% win rate, and you can get some pretty good value out of that. And I think, Shorty, you've actually crunched a few of the numbers. I've done this just kind of, it's what's worked for me without doing any sort of analysis on it. But, if you can get, even on an entry, as in, if you can get to 3 or 4 wins, you're actually coming out ahead of the economy in that sense. So,
in sealed specifically, so sealed costs 2,000 gems, which is steep. That's actual money that those gems are worth. So it's not super cheap. But if you enter a sealed event and you get 0 wins, so whether you enter it and you just resign, or you just don't manage to get any wins, and it's similar to the drafts, it's 7 wins or 3 losses. Even with 0 wins, you get the 6 15 card packs that you're cracking for your sealed pool, whereas arena card packs are 8 cards, as Chewy said before. So you get the 6 that you're cracking for the pool, and then for 0 wins, you still get 3 prize packs and 200 gems back. So the 3 prize packs that you get are the arena prize packs, so they're only the 8 card packs, but you get 200 gems back. So effectively it costs you 1,800 gems for 6 15 card packs and 3 arena packs. If you go into the arena store and actually try and buy 9 packs, it costs you 1,800 gems, and that's 9 arena packs. So just entering a sealed event and then dropping, you're effectively getting more value than you do from just buying packs on arena. A couple of slight differences, like the 15 card packs, you're not getting, like when you do a sealed pool, there's no chance to get like wild cards, which you do with the arena packs. So there's that.
But if you do win, then you get prizes. You get packs as prizes, which then go into that little circle thing in the top right, and eventually
100%.
turn into wild cards. Yeah.
Imagine if you opened wild cards and you could just be like, "I want this rare, please."
You just pick what card you want in your seal pool.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be so dumb. I want Planeswalker, please.
Yeah. If you can go, like Chewy said, if you can go into a sealed event and go 3-3, which is not that hard to do. I mean, there's definitely those times you open a sealed pool and it's an absolute stinker, and you might be lucky to get 1 win, but even getting 1 win, your gems that you get back goes up to 400 gems. And so all of a sudden you're paying 1,600 gems for the same 9 packs. And then it just goes up from there. And once you get to sort of 4 or 5 wins, that's when it starts to increase. And then eventually, if you can get to the 7 wins, you actually get 2,200 gems back. And I think you get more prize packs as well. So you're getting all of your gems back and some, and then you get to keep all of the cards that you got from your seal pool. So it's definitely a good way to do it. The only catch with it is you need to have 2,000 gems to start with, and if you bomb out of your first one, you've lost all those gems. So you you need to have a little bit of a bank of gems to be able to weather those random times where you sort of bomb out and you don't really get too much.
Absolutely. And that's where, you play a bunch of drafts throughout the season and you accrue those. So I've played a whole bunch of sealed. I think I played like 7 or 8 sealed for Kamigawa, and I've burnt through like 6,000 gems. So 2,000 gems to enter, and then, you do really well in some and you get enough gems to, finance your next event, and then you bomb out of some and you end up behind and eventually you run out of gems. But then it's like, okay, now I've got 60% of the cards plus a whole bunch of fresh wild cards. I'll start drafting for gold when that's available, or, crafting constructed decks and getting into that. So it's just part of that cycle.
Yeah, and sort of the drafting side of it. So, I've got, I don't know, maybe like 2,000 gems on my account at the moment. So I don't have stacks, but I've got like 70,000 gold. So for me, because I've got all this excess gold, I'm better off putting that into drafts. And similar to the sealed, and I think we've spoken about this on the podcast before, if you do a quick draft, which is the bot drafts that cost 5,000 gold, in the same sort of way as cracking the seal pool and getting 0 wins, you basically get your money back. So 5,000 gold would buy you 5 packs on the store. When you draft, you're opening 3 packs that are 15 card packs, so you're getting more cards. Plus, you also get that little bit of selection when you're drafting, in that you may get more than 3 rares. You might get 4 or 5, depending on what people pass you, and you can pick the uncommons that you want and things like that. But same thing, even if you get 0 wins on a draft, you get 1 or 2 prize packs, so it basically ends up the same cost. So quick drafts, not a bad way of getting into it, and if you manage to get the 7 wins again in the quick draft, you can turn that 5,000 gold into 950 gems, which is pretty good, as well as some prize packs. And then there's the premier draft, which is where you're actually drafting with people. Costs 10 grand gold, so it's a little bit more, but the 7 wins gets you 2,200 gems, which is quite a lot. And definitely a good way. If you are a good drafter and it's a good format, it's a good way to sort of turn that excess gold that you've got into gems. The only thing, like the premier draft is always there for the new set, whereas the quick draft is the draft that sort of rotates with, I think it's like one set for 2 weeks and then it changes again. And so that doesn't have Neon Dynasty on it yet. That'll probably come on in a few weeks' time, so you can't really do those quick drafts sort of straight away. But yeah, premier drafts, good way, get in there. Even if you get two or three wins, you're going to get your money back effectively of turning your gold into gems, and then just continue that, build up those gems, and then when a new set comes out, get into the sealed. So I think, Cracker, you haven't put money into Arena for quite a while either.
No, the last time I put money in was for I can't even remember what the set was called. That's how long ago it's been. I've gone blank. I don't even know. What was the return? Oh man, the Landfall set.
Wow. Rise of Zendikar?
Yeah, that's the ones. Sorry, long day, and I've gone completely blank. But yeah, Zendikar was the last time I put it in. But I mean, I haven't, I haven't done that grind. I kind of need to get back into it, get the collection up again, because you look at things and like, oh, that deck could be fun. And it's like, oh, I don't have the land from the last set. No, I've got more than that, but I don't have 30 rares spare at the moment to catch up. So I think that's the biggest downside in kind of falling off the grind in doing it this way. And I guess that's the one thing that we haven't kind of talked about in the cost, in air quotes, of this is just time and lots of it. And obviously that's what Arena wants. And if that's your jam, then, that's your currency that you're investing apart from the in-game stuff. So,
like, I play a bunch of Arena, and then, if we talked to Chewy 3 years ago, you wouldn't think you'd ever hear that sentence coming out of his mouth. But because I work from home, there's quite a lot of, like, I'm finished work for the day, I'm just going to play 20 minutes of Arena before it's time to get in the car and go and get the kids. Or I'll, everyone's in bed, we're not watching any shows, Cracker doesn't want to play PUBG, I'll play a bunch of, bin chickens in Historic and things like that. So I'm not sitting down for like a day and dedicating it to, trying to play 100 games or anything like that. Like, I'm jumping on for half an hour to an hour at a time, a couple of times in the week. So it's, I'm playing a bunch of Magic. I love Magic. But I'm not, it's not all I'm doing, right? Like, I'm still...
Yeah, kind of, but you're still mostly playing with a goal in mind, right? You'll look at what is going to get me 750 gold. I need to cast, 20 red creatures or whatever it is, and be like, okay, so I'll play like this. So you're still being guided, and don't take this as like, this is a negative. I'm not complaining about the fact you have to play Magic. Like, that's awesome, right? But it's just that's the, there's a choice there.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes
you're definitely, and you said that before, like you grind standard or constructed to earn your gold, and the only way you do that is the most effective way to do that is to roll your quests and make sure you're getting those challenges for 750 and just getting through those as efficiently as you can.
I don't even so much do that. I look at the ones and go, like, I don't have a deck at the moment that's green and white that I enjoy playing. I'm going to get rid of that quest and hope to get something that's got, attack with some creatures or...
Yeah, that's fair.
The
I just re-roll anything that's not red.
Of course you do, Blaster Boy. Yeah. I look at what's achievable, and I'd rather a 500 gold quest that I can achieve in 3 to 5 games than a 751 that's going to take me 10 games.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, because I just want to get it done, and then, I've got to cook dinner or pick up a kid or, whatever it might be. So it's... but as long as you're doing that each day and like ticking off your quests daily, you accrue the gold really quickly. And, before you know it, it's just like, I've got, thousands of gold here. I'll do a draft, turn that into some gems and bank that for the next sealed event when the new set comes out. So it's a good thing. It's a good way to do it. And
it's a good way to build a collection.
Yeah, sure. and that's the thing. It builds a collection and means that I'm spending less wild cards. I still don't have enough wild cards, but I'm spending less wild cards to build the decks because I've opened a whole bunch of packs through sealed.
Yeah, and I think, like you said just before, Cracker, you're missing like the mana bases from the last few sets. I was the same. Like, go back 2 years, I was doing exactly the same thing that Chewy's doing, except I was like, new set would come out and I would just draft. I haven't really done sealed at all, but I found that you just had so many. You didn't have full sets, but you had enough of the cards where it's like, I want to build this deck, and then you look at, I only need to spend 5 wild cards, and it's because half of the rares get taken up in your lands, and you just sort of pick them up through drafting and just opening packs from winning drafts and things like that. And so once you get all those things and you sort of continue that with each set, as new sets come out, it's like, oh, cool, okay, I now want to build this deck. Well, I've already got all the mana base for it, so it's just a few extra new cards for this set, and it's not costing you a fortune. When you go, a year without doing that or even longer, all of a sudden you're missing all of that, and that's when it really hurts. That's where you go, maybe I do have to, put money in to just buy a ton of packs just to get wild cards and start picking up those cards that I'm missing so I can get the staples for the upcoming formats.
Which is also a tricky way to do it, because then you're like, I'm going to buy packs. They're a pack of 50 for Kamigawa. That doesn't get me the lands from the previous set.
No,
so I have to
exactly.
open a lot of wild cards. So look, it is... Just it is, right? Like, it's just if you don't play, I mean, it's and I'm not saying this is like a terrible arena thing. It's like, if you don't, we used to buy boxes and sealed product and stuff all the time, but I mean, most of us have dropped right off on that and standard in the last couple of years because we're just not playing paper Magic. So like, if I wanted to do that previously, be like, I've got to get like a half dozen cards to put this deck together, and now it's like I'd have to buy the whole thing. So paper is exactly the same. It's a grind.
No, you
don't want to go about it.
You don't have to buy anything.
I mean, it's true.
Has to buy them.
It's the royal we, the beans community. Not everyone has a Chris.
Everybody needs a polywaffle.
Everyone does. You can't have ours though.
No, he's taken.
Yeah. His cards are all used up by us. All right, so speaking of trying to get cards for building standard decks, we will touch next week. I think next week will be a focus on standard, and the reason for that is the start of our 2022 Tournament Series League. So, Cracker, what's this one that's coming up?
It's Kamigawa standard. It's, it's what's that? It starts on the 29th. I know that.
No, it doesn't.
Wait, what? We're doing the draw on the 29th. The 26th.
That's the 25th.
The 25th. It
says it right there in front of you on the show notes.
I'm not looking at the show notes.
It has been a long day, hasn't it, Gregor?
I'm tired.
There's
the 29th of February
29th of
when
Feb
it's not
this
even
year.
a leap year. All right, goodbye. I'm done talking.
So on the 29th of February is World No Playing Magic Day, okay?
Yes.
I promise I won't play Magic that day.
Yeah. Me either.
Well, hopefully when I
25th of
do
Feb.
the live draw and pull names out of a bucket, I can actually speak that night, whenever that is, the 25th. I'm joking.
I'll give you a call that day to make sure that
Thanks.
you've had your coffee, mate.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to this. We've got a slightly different format on our league structures. Still the leagues where everyone will be put into groups on our live stream and divvied up into those groups, and you'll play everybody once, and the winners will progress through. Just a slight structure change based on some of the learnings and such from previous years. We're trying to not rest on our laurels and keep getting better and better at what we do. And hopefully that translates into a better experience. If you've not partaken of any of our tournaments or our tournament series in previous years, it's a great time to get in on that. They are free to enter. They're a great amount of fun. You get to know all the people in your group really well via the Discord and have some really good games of Magic. And then we will stream the finals. And, you can root for the people that were in your group or root against them if they crushed you, whichever avenue you wish to take. But there's some sweet, sweet prizes as well. I think there's $500 worth of cash and prizes up for grabs in our Kamigawa League, as well as some weekly giveaways. I think Shorty, you might have got a delivery today.
Yes, that I'm not allowed to talk about yet.
Oh, okay, no worries. Well, there's a delivery today. That's all we're going to tell you, but it's sweet. So yeah, we'll be giving away some stuff just for playing your league games throughout the weeks, and then if you are lucky enough to make top 8, you will get a slice of that $500 pie, and of course, there's the invitational points up for grabs as well. So that's huge. You've got to try to knock Sarah Soldiers off the top of the leaderboard after they took down the one-day historic event a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, you get an NV point just for participating, and then points based on how you finish in the group stage. And of course, if you're lucky enough or good enough to take out the whole event, then you will earn yourself a seat at the NV table at the end of this year.
Yeah, awesome fun. And yeah, the leagues are always good for the people that can't commit to, weekend tournaments and things like that, because you can play your matches on your schedule. You're just sort of organising them directly with your opponent, and away you go. You find a time that suits the two of you and play your match and record your result, and then you're all good. Got a few weeks to get it done. So make sure you get in on that. I think, we've got pretty decent numbers already registered, but I would expect them to be a fair amount higher by the time we actually get there. Still a bit of time to register, so don't snooze on it. Get in there and get registered, and your chance to win that qualification direct to the Invitational. So that's going to do us for this week. As I said, next week will be a bit more of a focus on Standard. We can look at new decks that are coming out, and sort of if we've got any ideas on the metagame, what we're looking at playing in our league matches and things like that, so you can hard metagame against us. And we'll delve right into that next week. So that's going to do us for this week. If you want to get in on all of those events and talk to people in our limited channels and things like that, the best place to do that is in the Discord, which is a link in the show notes as always. You can also find a couple of links in the show notes for our merch store, which has just recently been updated, and there's a whole bunch of new gear. Chewy, you got yours recently and looks pretty sweet, so I think I'll have to pick up some new merch pretty soon. And then, also the link in there for Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar, so go and check them out and let them know the beans sent you when you win something. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. All of those places we're either Magic Beans or Magic Beans Cast. So just search us up on there and you'll find us. If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at Peace Inc. Chewy, you are?
At Chewy MTG.
And Cracker?
At JoelHill_.
Very good. So that's it for this week. Thank you, as always, for listening. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time.